Yeah. Yeah.
What's good? It's your boy JayThat'sMe. We're going to get into TNA Impact from May the 22nd, 2025. A very boring go-home show for the most part. And Under Siege isn't looking all that good of a show, if we're being honest. Because it's a very weak match card. But it is what it is. I don't expect things to get any better until we get into the build for Slammiversary. So that's probably when things will change. So as soon as Against All Odds is over with, then Slammiversary should be pretty decent. We should get a pretty decent build going into Slammiversary. So we kick the show off with the first match of the night. Mustafa Ali defeats Ace Austin. So basically towards the end of the match, Tasha Steelz, she gets involved. She distracts Ace Austin. And then this allows for Ali to to lock an ankle hold onto Ace Austin, and then Ace Austin taps. So it's pretty cool. Nice little finish to the match. It's fun. I still don't understand why they're having Ali be unhinged, but I do like it. You know, him being a heel is great, but him being this unhinged heel is kind of cool. So it's interesting to see where they'll go with that. Moving on. So we get a backstage promo about a system. Brian Myers says they cut back the opportunity to beat up Joe Hendry and Elijah. Eddie Edwards says to pay attention to his match tonight. Moose says they'll stick their foot straight up Elijah's ass. Pause. He says they'll let all of Canada know you can always trust the system. Who cares about this nonsense? Moving on. This then leads us into Rosemary. She took out Xia Li, or Ling Li. She tells Xia Brookside to embrace the dark side at Under Siege, or they'll drag her kicking and screaming into it. Okay. I like that, I guess. Moving on. The Aztec Warriors, which is Laredo Kid and Octagon Jr., they defeat the Northern Armory. So there's that. That's pretty cool. So, yeah. All right, continuing on. So Xia Brookside, she's backstage with a still recovering Xia Li, a.k.a. Ling Li. She responds to the comments made about Rosemary that happened earlier on in the night, vowing to get revenge on her at Under Siege for all those who, like her, refuse to sell their soul. Okay. So she's channeling her inner Cody Rhodes in. Okay, that must be nice. Moving on. Eddie Edwards defeats the Jobber, and Diener was on commentary. I don't care about this shit. This is a waste of time. Moving on. So, Mance Warner, he gets a vignette along with Stephanie along with Step the Lander. Step the Lander claims it's the start of Mace and the Lander era, and anyone who likes it can tell someone who fucking cares. So that's pretty cool, I guess. Do I care about this? Nope. Moving on. So, Sami Callihan and Mike Santana, they are defeated by First Class. So Casey Navarro gets the win via the 619, and he hit the Blessing in Disguise, which is a nasty finish for the 1, 2, 3. I actually do like this. I'm a fan of Casey Navarro, not of that fat sack of shit known as AJ Francis, a.k.a. Top Dollar, or FKA Top Dollar. Who cares? I'm hoping that they do break up First Class. It needs to happen. And I really do wish that Casey Navarro would change his pink hair. I don't really like that. Like, dye your hair a different color, or just don't even dye your hair. Just have, just do black hair. Just, come on, bro. But whatever. Moving on. So, Santino Marella, he comes out. It's going to be a scheduled debate between him and Robert Stone. So, Gia Miller, she's the moderator. Santino said that he came to TNA 2 years ago with an open mind, and if he gets his finger on the pulse and get a little taste of the business, and now he's coming here with his shenanigans. So Robert Stone says that Santino Marella has done nothing to make this a better place, which is true. He says that Santino is a joke, always has been, always will be, which is 10,000% true. Robert Stone's not lying about that. But Robert Stone is the same way. Robbie E's always basically been kind of like a jobber. Even when he was with Jesse Goddard, when they had their little tag team, I forgot what it's called. I can't remember. That was in like maybe, was that 2010, 2012? It was around the Hogan and Bischoff era of TNA. So, yeah. He says that when he's in charge of TNA, he's going to fire all the losers, and he's going to make them a lot of money, which is great. Because a lot of people in TNA need to just be let go, not to be mean. They could go to like NWA, MLW, and the like. That's where most of those guys need to go anyway, if we're being honest. And we know in that boat who fits the bill, I said every week, Moose, Brian Myers, Eddie Edwards, Alicia Edwards, Diener, Frankie Kazarian. Come on. List goes on and on and on. He says, if Santino Marella has control, he's going to run it into the ground. Santino says that Robert Stone is stupid. He says TNA is rising to the top. Santino Marella says that Robert Stone might have the fancy style, but he has a sense of what the people want. And he says he came for the people. The people are his extended family. He says the people are family, and like family, they stick together and fight together. So now I know where Tessa Blanchard, she shows up. She attacks Ariana Grace from behind. Masha Slamovich shows up to make the save, and it's a brawl that breaks out where basically the baby faces, Masha Slamovich and Ariana Grace, they take out the heels, Tessa Blanchard and Victoria Crawford, a.k.a. Alicia Fox. So they do a table spot. It doesn't break. They do it again. It doesn't break. So it is what it is. Like, basically, Masha attempted to do a running Samoan drop to the table, and it still doesn't break. So whatever. I'm like, what the hell? What's that table made of? Is there like some super glue on that shit? But we don't know. But it is what it is. Moving on. So this leads us into Matt Cardona. He's backstage. He says he was supposed to challenge for the international title at Under Siege after earning the right with a win last week. He says he's not. I mean, it's not him, but reigning Steve Macklin, who isn't cleared. So Santino, he shows up and he tells Matt Cardona it's going to be him and Steve Macklin for the international title. That's going to take place next week on the show. Okay, that's fine. Do I care about this shit? No, I don't. Moving on, Spitfire, they defeat Jabberellas. Who cares? All right, main event of the evening. Joe Hendry and Elijah, they defeat Moose and Brian Myers. I didn't watch this. I didn't care about this shit at all. So Trick Williams was on commentary. He didn't really say or do anything, really. Basically, post-match, Frankie Kazarian showed up, and he tried to take out Joe Hendry and Elijah. He wanted Trick to help him, but Trick was like, nah, I'm not going to help you out. I only care about myself. And then that allowed for Elijah and Joe Hendry to double-team Frankie Kazarian, and they stand tall, and that was the go-home show. So it is what it is. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that Matt Hardy had a pep talk with, what's his name? Leon Slater. So, yeah, there's that. But a very weak go-home show. It is what it is. So let's get into the predictions for Under Siege. It's going to be taking place at the CAA Center. It's going to be in Ontario, Canada. So the venue can hold, I think, 5,000 people. I doubt 5,000 people will come out. Maybe, I'm going to say between 3,000 and 3,500 people will show up, probably more than likely, which makes sense. But this is a very, very weak card, and TNA could have done better than this. This is not really a really good, pleasing match card. Most of this stuff could just take place on a random episode of TNA Impact. I'm not going to hold you up. There are 7 matches on the card because the match between Steve Maclin and Matt Cardona, that has been canceled. That's been removed. And it's going to take place on next week's Fallout show from Under Siege. So, it's 7 matches, basically. On the pre-show, Rosemary versus Xia Brookside. I think Xia Brookside is going to win. They're not going to turn her heel. Like, why would they? Moving on. Cody Deaner versus Eddie Edwards. I don't care about this. If Deaner wins, he's going to receive a new contract. Who cares? Can we just fire both guys? Like, it doesn't matter who wins. Just fire them both, please. Send their sorry asses to NWA. Like, seriously. Then, Mike Santana versus AJ Francis. Mike Santana is going to win, obviously. Then we have the Elegance brand, Ash and Heather by Elegance versus Spitfire, Danny Luna and Jody Threat. This is do or die. So if Spitfire, they lose, they must disband. And it's going to be by Elegance rules, basically. So there's no DQ and there's no count out. So they're more than likely going to be the new Knockouts Tag Team Champions. Who cares about this shit? I really don't care about it at all. I really don't. Moving right along. The Nemeth Bros, Ryan and Nick Nemeth versus Matt Hardy and Leon Slater for the TNA World Tag Team Championships. The Nemeths are going to retain. Why would they lose? Masha Slamovich versus Victoria Crawford, a.k.a. Alicia Fox, for the TNA Knockouts World Championship. Masha's going to retain, obviously. This doesn't need to last no more than about 5 to 10 minutes. Speaking of that should last for 5 to 10 minutes. Tessa Blanchard versus Ariana Grace. The same thing should occur there. It should be it should be 5 to 10 minutes at best. 5 bare minimum, 10 maximum. Then we got a 8-person mixed tag. Indy Hartwell, The Rascals, Trey Miguel, and Zachary Wentz. And a 2BA individual. So, okay, I don't know who that's going to be. I don't know who would debut at this show. Versus The Order. Well, the Order 4, which is Mustafa Ali, Tasha Steelz, and the Great Hand, John Skyler, and Jason Hodge. I'm pretty sure the babyfaces are going to win. I mean, why wouldn't they? And then the main event of the evening, Hendry and Elijah versus Trick Williams and Frankie Kazarian. Hendry and Elijah are going to win. It's probably going to be Elijah getting the win on Frankie Kazarian, obviously. And that makes the most sense. So, whatever. Under Siege seems pretty weak for the most part. But at this point, it is what it is. Most of the Under Siege cards have been weak anyway. This is just like TNA's version of Backlash, if we're being honest. So, whatever. It's not really all that important. But what did you guys think of TNA this week? And what are your predictions for Under Siege? Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.